Hello, you guys. I went over this chapter last night, and I got really passionate about it because when I read this chapter, it was like God revealed to me, He's been revealing to me this past couple of weeks, everything. I mean, I've been watching everything that's been going on in Israel, and it just seems like Israel is taking all the wrong turns right now. They're building the third temple. They're like getting everything ready for the Antichrist. And the Antichrist is just sitting back. And they're setting the stage for him. They're just getting everything all set up for him. And we got to remember that, Israel doesn't even believe, the Jews in Israel don't even believe that the Messiah has come yet. So when the Antichrist comes into Third Temple and proclaims that he's God, then they're going to believe that he's the true Messiah when he's not. And I also heard that they have this guy in Israel that they think is potentially holy enough, like Moses, to give the oral law. And then shortly after I watched the video about that, I watched another video about the Noahide laws that they are trying to conclude. And Donald Trump is involved in this. Jared Kushner is involved in this. And I can't help but feel like everything that's going on in Israel right now and everything that's going on in America right now and around the world is just setting the stage for the Antichrist. And I'm in Matthew chapter 23 right now. And while I was reading this, after I've watched these videos and been studying on Israel and reading the Word and reading Enoch and all this other stuff all at the same time, it's like God has been revealing to me what has been going on. And a lot of people are like, all the Trump supporters, and I don't swing one way or the other. I'm not a right, I'm not a left, I'm not really any of it, because I know that both sides are just as bad as each other. The right is just as bad as the left, and the left is just as bad as the right. And that it's just a way to divide the people, to make people feel like they're on the right side, when really no side is the right side. They've both been working together to get this set up. And like Donald Trump was in Arkansas not very long ago and was signing Bibles away. Signing Bibles, and to me, it's not, the biggest deal in the world. You're signing Bibles, you're trying to help people, but I don't know. There's just something that doesn't feel right about that. It's almost like Donald Trump is just so, I don't know, he's just like parading himself around. He's exalting himself. I'm going to sign all these Bibles and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, I've never heard of a president ever doing that. Whether he's a Christian or not, to me, that's just kind of weird. It doesn't feel right to me. It just doesn't. So, I don't know, there was just something about that, and I try really hard not to judge Donald Trump, because I know a lot of people that support Donald Trump, and I'm not saying Donald Trump is this horrible person or the most horrible president, or whatever, but there's just something that doesn't feel right about what's going on with Donald Trump's presidency right now. And I haven't quite figured it out yet. But, I mean, I'm just going to tell you plain Jane how I feel about it. And I could be wrong. This is just a feeling. But I've heard a lot of pastors and a lot of Christians say that Donald Trump is being used by God right now. And I totally believe that. I am totally 100%. God is using Donald Trump right now. But he's not using him in the way that people think he's using him. Donald Trump, God is using Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and other people that are close to Donald Trump, the UN, and other things, to bring in the Antichrist. Because you have to remember, it's biblical prophecy that the Antichrist has to come first and proclaim that he's God before Jesus Christ comes. And I do believe that God is using Donald Trump, but he's not using him in the ways that people think that he is. And that's just how I plain Jane feel about it. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people come in here and bash me for that feeling. I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. And one more thing I want to say about Donald Trump is I've heard a lot of people say, well, we support Donald Trump because he's against abortion and he's against LGBT and he's for everything in the Bible, but yet when New York passed the bill for late-term abortion, why wasn't he there kicking doors down? Why wasn't he there? Why isn't he kicking doors down on the late-term abortion in New York? And I believe he's from New York, isn't he? And I mean, I know the president has a lot of things going on. No matter who's the president, you know, there's a lot going on. And I wouldn't want to be the president. You know, I wouldn't want all that responsibility. But I'm just saying, my gut's telling me that God is using Donald Trump. But he's using him in a way that people are not seeing. It's not good what God's using Donald Trump for. God's using Donald Trump to set the stage for the Antichrist. And this is just how it has to be done. And I'm not going to question God in the order of the way that he does things. I just know what God says in his word and the signs that he gave me through his word and what to look out for. And I've come to this conclusion. That Donald Trump, God's not using Donald Trump for what people think that God's using Donald Trump for. And I wanna know, why didn't you bust down the doors in New York City over that abortion? If you're so against abortion. Same goes for the other side. Why aren't the Democrats out in New York City busting doors down over abortion? The late-term abortion. I'm really upset about that, and I know Jesus is too. I know he is. I can feel him crying about it. So anyway, and a lot of people are just not willing to see that. They're not willing to see what's happening with Donald Trump, what's happening with Jared Kushner, what's happening with the UN, what's happening with Israel, and all of the links that are connected with it. People are so proud and so egotistical because they voted for him. You know, and I see that on the other side too. People are so proud and so egotistical that they're not willing to see that both sides are so corrupt. And they want to make you think that they're not working together. But they are. They're both working together to do the same thing. So, Matthew chapter 23, getting back to Israel and what God's been revealing to me with Israel. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So think about that. The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Like they're trying to be Moses. And let's get one thing straight here. For there's a lot of people that try to say that they are biblical figures, like angels, or the two witnesses, or Enoch, or Elijah, or Ezekiel, or whatever. There's only one Moses. There's only one Ezekiel. There's only one of the two, only two of the two witnesses. Only one Enoch. Only one Elijah. Only one Jesus. So let's get that straight. To all these people who think that they're something that they're not. That think that they're angels or Ezekiel or Moses or whatever. You're not. There is only one, and you're not it. But anyway, it's like, I was reading this chapter and I was like, oh my God, after everything I've researched, all the videos I've watched about what's going on in Israel, trying to keep up what's going on, because a lot of big turning points are happening in Israel, and Israel is making a lot of wrong turns. And if they don't come back to God, then they're not going to see him anymore. They're not, and I'll get to that in a minute. But so think about that. And when I was reading the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, I was like, wow, that's almost exactly what's going on in Israel right now. They got this guy that they think is, oh so holy enough to write oral laws. I recently watched that in a video. Where Gospel Truth went over, where Israel, they got this guy now that they think is like holy enough, like Moses was, to start rewriting oral laws. And then I watched a video not very long ago about the Noahide laws that are coming out in Israel right now, which are from the pit of hell. So when I read that verse, I was like, wow, that's exactly what they're doing right now in Israel. That these Israelites and these Jews are like scribes and Pharisees. Like what Jesus is talking about in this chapter. And therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. So it's saying you're observing them, you're going to observe the scribes and the Pharisees and observe what they do, but don't do what they do. Don't go after their works. Because it's false works. It's a false law, this Noahide, and it's false. It's all good and looking on the outside, have the white robes and all this stuff, but it's not good. It's a lie. It's a pit from hell. It's a lie from the pit of hell. Everything that's going on with this Noahide law, this guy that thinks he's Moses, or they think he's Moses, and he's writing oral laws, and this third temple that's going up, and all this stuff. It's all biblical prophecy for the Antichrist. That's why people need to read their Bible. People need to read their Bible and quit looking up to a pope or somebody on YouTube or a pastor that's going to tickle your ears. You need to read your Bible, and you need to ask God to give you His will in your life and to show you and to not be deceived. That's what I pray for a lot. Don't let me be deceived by the lies of this world. And He has definitely showed me things that's like, don't be deceived here, don't be deceived there, da. And I'm like, wow, thank you, Lord, for letting me know that, so I don't get deceived by this or that. And Israel and these people know that people are so lukewarm. People are so lukewarm right now, more lukewarm than I think I've ever seen the church. And they know that, and they're going to take that to their advantage to deceive people. All therefore whosoever they bid you observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. So they do not do what they say that they tell you to do. They're going to tell you to do these works, but they don't do it themselves. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. So basically, the law in general, whether it be the Noahide laws that they're making now, or the laws back in biblical days, is heavy. It's burdensome. It's grievous. And they lay it upon your shoulders. Like, you're supposed to do this, 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 and this, and this, or you're going to hell. Like this Hebrew movements that's going on, where people think they're abiding by the law 100%, but they're not. And they'll push it on you. And let me tell you, these people are burdened by the law. These people that think that they're abiding by the law, and abiding by the Sabbath, and abiding by the law 100%, trying to get to heaven by their works, they are burdened. In secret, they might not show it on YouTube or show it in public, but behind closed doors, they are burdened by that law. They're crying and sobbing, and it's a horrible life to try to live by the law and the law alone. So they'll burden other men with the law and put it on their shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their own fingers. So they won't do it themselves, but they'll burden everybody else with the law. But all their works they do for to be seen by men. They make broad their flatteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments. So they're like, I got this white robe on, I'm so holy, and I do all these works, and woohoo, I'm oh so holy. Just to flaunt it around for show for everybody else. Verse 6, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts and the chief seats in the synagogues. So they're sitting up in the synagogues in these temples and uppermost rooms in these synagogues, going, I'm oh so holy, I'm keeping I'm keeping the law, yada yada yada, and putting the laying the law on all these other men's shoulders when they're not doing it even themselves. And they look all good on the outside, wearing this white robe and everything, and they look oh so holy, and they like to think like they're abiding by the law, but they're not. We all fail the law, and we should try to be obedient, and we should try to go by the law. And we should try to not go by the law, but we should try to be obedient. You know, it's just like my brother Daniel says, it should be, a lifestyle that you're trying to be like, try to be obedient, but we're going to fail every day. That's why Jesus died on the cross for our sins. So it's a little easier for us because the law is so burdensome. And Jesus took that yoke upon himself on the cross. So we don't have to burden ourselves with that yoke of the law so much. Yes, we should be obedient. No, we shouldn't just be going out sinning nimbly-bimbly. We should be trying the best we know how to love God and love Jesus and do the best we can to be obedient through Jesus Christ. This does not make it a get-out-of-hell-free card to go sin and get drunk and fornicate and do drugs and do whatever you want. No, we still need to be obedient. But the law still is very burdensome. And greetings, verse 7, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. All of you are brethrens. Even the rabbis. Don't call yourself a rabbi. Don't glorify yourself like you're a rabbi, like these guys do. That say, call me a rabbi. Call me so holy, like the Pope and people like that. Because they're not. You have one master, Christ. And that's another thing that verse 8 is saying. Verse 9, and call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. One Christ, one Father in heaven. Not these rabbis, not these scribes, not these Pharisees. Jesus Christ. He's the one. Verse 11, but he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased. So whoever is exalting themselves, like these rabbis and these Pharisees right now, and all these people in Israel that think they're oh so holy and abiding by the Torah, woe unto you. You'll be abased. And he that humbles himself to God and Jesus Christ, and knows that he's not oh so holy like a rabbi, that he needs Jesus Christ, that he is the one, then he will be exalted. Verse 13, but woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. When I read this, this is telling me the scribes and the Pharisees are basically shutting up the kingdom of heaven against men, because they are putting that burden yoke upon men with the law. And they're going to be accountable for that. This Hebrew Right movement people and the Noahide whatever people in Israel that are doing all this, they're going to be held accountable for this. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, and for a presence make long prayer, therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. He's like, you're making yourselves more worthy of hell. You're making make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. You're sending you're sending people to hell over this, because you're not telling them the good news of Jesus Christ. You're telling them that the only way they can get to heaven is by their works. That's what that's saying. When I read that, that's what it says. Woe unto you, ye build guides which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing, but whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, for whether it is greater the gold of the temple, or that sanctifieth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether it is greater the gift, or the altar that sanctifieth the gift. So ask yourself, is it the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? What is greater? Is what Jesus is saying. Verse 20, whoso therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And whosoever shall sweareth by the temple sweareth by it, and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon. So if you are wanting to profit from the altar, you're going to get the things of the altar, which is nothing. You want to profit from the things of the temple and live by the temple or the altar, you're going to get the things of the temple and the altar, which are nothing. But if you go after heaven and the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon, you're going to get the things of God, which is everything. Which is everything good, everything great, everything we need. Not the temple and not the altar. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees. I'm talking about the physical temple, like physical altars, physical temple in Israel. I'm not talking about the temple inside of us and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the physical temple, which is what is being talked about in the all physical altars, which is being talked about here. I'm not talking about the spiritual temple that's inside of the body of Christ. So let me just say that before people start, oh, we're all the temple and blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what Jesus is talking about either here. He's talking about the physical temples, the physical altars of the scribes and Pharisees, the people that think they're oh so holy, like the Pope, who says that he's the Father. And it says right here that we're not supposed to be calling other people Father. There's one Father, the one who sits on the throne in heaven. Verse 23, Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye have done, and not to leave the other undone. So you've done the law and the judgment, but you've left mercy and faith undone. It's all about law, dog. And they've left mercy and faith completely out of it, which is wrong. Ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. So they're straining to do the law. They're straining and straining and straining. And it's so burdensome and it's so heavy, and they're straining everything they got to abide by the law 100%. It's like trying to swallow a camel, is what Jesus is saying. It's impossible to swallow a camel whole. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within the cup platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanliness. So you look good on the outside, you're all white with the white robe and everything, but on the inside you're corrupt like dead men's bones. And you need to be working on the inside in your heart, and not trying to look all good like you're oh so righteous when you're not. And verse 30, And I say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. You are the children of the ones who killed the prophets. Ye serpents, ye generations of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? You're trying to escape the damnation of hell by works and by killing prophets. Did you not learn from your fathers? Because you are the children of your fathers that killed the prophets. Killed people that were trying to spread the truth and come to you and spread the truth, but you killed them. And you should have learned from that. And here Israel is going right back, setting the stage to going right back into starting killing people. Just wait. Just wait. Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues and persecute them from city to city. So he's saying, I've sent you men to tell you the truth, and you've killed them. And that's just getting ready. All of this Noahide law and everything is a setup from the pit of hell to start killing people that are spreading the truth. All of this is starting to happen all over again. And Jesus is like, you are the children of the people that killed them. Did you not learn? This is what he's saying. Verse 35, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, and from the blood of Zachariah, righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barchas, and whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathered her chicks under her wings, and ye would not. You wouldn't listen to any of these people that I sent to you. You were supposed to gather them under your wings and listen to these people that were telling you the truth, because I sent them to you to tell you the truth, and you killed them. Did you not learn? Is what he's saying. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth. Israel, you're not going to see God again until you turn away from your wicked ways and learn that you need Jesus Christ. That's what this verse is saying. Till ye shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. All these people that are trying to tell you to believe in on Jesus Christ and not of just your works, you're going to start killing them again. And God is not going to be with you. You're not going to see God until you say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord.